Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Almost Normal. I'm in London right now with my family, and it is so nice to be back, but something is getting in the way of me enjoying myself, and that is fucking social media. Now, I just want to say, I think there are great things about social media. I think there are absolutely wonderful things. I think the fact that you can tune into someone's life, someone's personal life, hear their stories, it doesn't just have to be celebrities and famous people, people on yachts and people like going to these great parties. Like the fact that we can just connect with real human beings on this platform, say what we want, express our emotions, express our feelings, all of that. I think it is wonderful. And a lot of the time, if I'm feeling really down mentally, I'll go on TikTok and sometimes we'll see someone else dealing with the same thing. And it's just that moment of feeling not so alone, because I feel like mental health issues, the main thing it likes to do is to make you feel isolated and alone. It likes to convince you that you're the only one that feels these feelings, and it just traps you and it makes you yours. And I think that it's such a great way to fight that by saying, I know that I'm not alone. I am connected with all of these people that feel the same way. So there are things about social media that I love. It's sometimes entertaining too when you're doing it in moderation, using it properly, like anything. Too much of anything is not good. And I feel that since I've been back in London, or even before actually, during my travels, I have been a little bit overly obsessed with social media. I have been a little bit too obsessed with my presence on social media, what I talk about, what I'm gonna post. Should I follow this trend? Should I just film myself making breakfast, or should I just make breakfast, not film it, and just eat my breakfast as the ends, not having it as a means to an end, and the end being more content? Like maybe I should just enjoy these actions in my life for what they are and not say, oh, I should do these things in order to be able to post something on TikTok. Like, I don't want to live like that. And I feel like I've been doing that a lot, like going to certain restaurants and going to certain places in London and making elaborate food choices just because then I'll have some content, I'll have something to add to the social media endless scroll. But along with just being obsessed with my own appearance and like presence on social media, I find myself doom scrolling far too much recently. And it's such an addiction. And like, as someone who is addicted to many things, like I have, for the most part, kicked smoking. I have kicked alcohol. I've kicked drugs. For the past 4.5 years, I have not touched drugs or alcohol, touched vaping and smoking sometimes, which I am really trying to get rid of completely. It is extremely hard. I would say that vaping is much more addictive than cigarettes, because I smoked cigarettes since I was a young teenager and I never got addicted. Like, I could just never have a cigarette again. But then the minute I started vaping, that was sort of game over. And like now I'll think about vaping all the time, way more than I ever thought about smoking. So if you have not started vaping, don't fucking do it. It's absolutely pointless. And it is honestly just for these big companies to make a lot of money from you. Like, that's it. There is no point to vaping, absolutely no point. Doesn't make you look cool, doesn't make you feel good. It's just addictive, just so you can keep buying these little like colorful packets of things that look so much like toys, by the way. And that is what freaks me out. I always find that I'm attracted to things that have many different colors of the same thing. I don't know if that makes any sense to people, but the fact that vapes, you can get them in any color. Sometimes there's like limited edition vapes. I've bought like a sparkly green one before and it was limited edition. And I'm just like, that is just so wrong on so many levels, because they've tapped into something that people find attractive, which is super bright colors, super soft edges. They've tapped into that and added like this highly addictive drug to it, which I just think is so fucked. But it got me. It totally got me. I would like have days where I would notice that my nails matched my vape, and it was just this sort of like moment of joy, which is just so fucked. But anyway, what the hell was I even saying? Oh yeah, I've kicked a bunch of addictions, and I'm in the process of kicking a bunch more. But one that I really, really didn't consider was social media. I did not consider it that much. Nothing like the smoking and the drugs and the drinking. Like, I didn't put it on that same level. And I don't know if it's because the other ones have sort of dissipated in my life, and now this is sort of the only one that I'm really, really noticing. But I will pick up my phone, start scrolling, and I will instantly feel my mental health deplete. I will instantly feel like a genuine physical sickness inside my stomach. And my brain will be saying, hey, like, let's get off of this. Let's get off of this. Okay, one more post, one more. Okay, one more after that one. All right, now, all right, you could just do one more because they're so fast, so you don't think you're committing to much. So you say, oh, I'll just look at one more post. And because they're like 30 seconds tops most of the time, you'll just say, oh, whatever, I'll just do one more. And I will end up being on my phone for hours. I'll wake up in the morning, go straight onto my phone, which is absolutely terrible. And I'll sit in bed and like hours will pass me by and I have achieved absolutely fucking nothing. And I know that, don't know how they did it, but somehow TikTok and social media has found a way to convince you that you are gaining something, you're gaining some knowledge, you're understanding new things, but you're not. Like, I can't tell you the last TikTok I saw, and I was just on it. I won't be able to refer back to things that I have seen on TikTok basically ever. It's very rare that I will turn off my phone and I'll think about a post, which is really interesting to think about. I never really considered that much before. Sometimes I'll see something really funny and I'll be like, hey guys, did you see this really funny Instagram video? Or like there was these videos of that couple that were caught at the Coldplay concert. Like, I discussed that, but that was, repeated content. Other than that, I'm not going to be able to relay any information to you that I learned from TikTok. Like, I just won't. And also, should always be a little bit cautious about learning things from TikTok because, again, it's social media. People can post whatever they want on there. And so you don't want to like fill your brain with like maybe true facts. But I find that I get like a actual physical ick feeling. But it's almost as if my brain and my body are not connected. There's a break there somewhere. And my brain is saying, hey, can we get off of this now? And it's almost like my hands are separate entities to the rest of my body. They will just keep going. My thumb will just keep going like this. And it genuinely feels paralyzing, like I'm stuck in a loop. And the more and more and more I do it, the harder and harder and harder it is to get off of it. And there are tactics made by programmers who made these apps in order to keep people on. Because that's what they need. In order to make money, they need you to keep scrolling. They need you to keep creating content. They need trends to keep coming up so people want to join in and don't have FOMO or whatever. Like, there are tactics done. People have thought about this for ages. How do we keep people on our app? How do we continue to have people get sucked into our content so that we can make more money? Like, there have been meetings and meetings and meetings about this. And I am sure that the people that make these social media apps spend very, very little time on them themselves. Like, I honestly also feel the people that make the vapes, because they know exactly what's going in it, because they know exactly the consequences of smoking these vapes, I'm pretty sure the people that actually make them, the people that manufacture the vapes, are not smoking the vapes that much. I just have this inkling. I know that when they manufactured cigarettes, everyone was smoking, but that was before a lot of science went into it, and I just feel like now it's just so malicious. There's such a malicious intent there when making these products. And I think it's really sick that a lot of these addictive products are targeted to young audiences. 100%. Excuse me, another addiction I have is coffee. But I mean, that one's gonna stay a little longer, I think. I was drinking about 3 energy drinks a day, and that was really fucking me up. And since being away from America, where energy drinks are just sort of not less available, you could go to the shop and buy one, but they're less pushed on you. I feel like when you go into a store in America, like a Celsius or a Monster is like immediately in your face, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna grab one. Here it seems less, there's less of a push there. But I am drinking a lot of coffee. Also, I was just in France, and I don't know why, but somehow in Europe, it's very, very easy to ingest at least 6 espresso shots a day. And so I'm trying to like wean myself off of that slightly. But anyway, on to the next point. Something that I think about often, and someone brought it up in one of my classes at college, but something that I do think about often is the lack or the absence of boredom in our lives. I will find, and I saw it in myself today, I will find like my husband's working, my mom's taking a nap, my brothers are out doing their own thing. Like there's not much to do in the house today. I don't really feel like going out, it's raining. And so I'm on my phone. And I'm just ingesting other people's lives. And what's interesting, just another point, what's interesting is the content I'm watching, it's these menial tasks mostly that people are doing, like clean my room with me, take my dog on a walk, do my makeup. Like it's kind of these tasks that if I were just to do them myself, I would be much more happy. I would be moving my body. But somehow sitting and watching someone else do it, I don't know how that's more interesting for me. I'm achieving nothing. I'm watching someone else achieving cleanliness and, you know, whatever. But I myself am not doing anything. However, I'm sitting through that process with them. I'm watching them as they clean their house. It's just such an odd dystopian idea, in my opinion. Like, I don't really want to clean my kitchen. I'm going to put that off. But what I will do is I'll sit on my phone and watch someone else clean their kitchen. Somehow that's better? I don't know. These are just random thoughts popping up in my head. But something I've been thinking about a lot is the absence of boredom. I feel like when I was a child, boredom was where I created all my imaginary friends. When I had nothing to do, I would go out in the garden, I would find snails, and I would make them race each other. I know. That was like a thing a lot of us did, okay? That was not just me. That was like a neighborhood trend at the time to find a snail and do snail races. Leave us alone. I don't do that now. But I feel like I should. But I feel like as a child, before any of the social media was really big, and by the way, like a lot of my teenage years, social media was not really a big thing. I'm 27 now. Like when I was growing up, a young teen, being on the phone was just not something that was so apparent as it is now. We all had these little Nokia brick phones. Like there was nothing to do on them. We would MSN our friends. That was pretty much it. Like it didn't go past that. There was nothing interesting on Instagram at the time. TikTok wasn't even a thing. Like Facebook, maybe you go on it, but like Facebook, I would just post pictures and then I would chat with my friends. TikTok, I'm not even chatting with my friends. I'm like making no connections with people. Facebook, at least, I was always talking to people after school, being like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing for this homework? Like, da-da-da-da-da, do you want to go play football or whatever? TikTok, I'm literally watching the lives of people I have no idea who they are. I'm not even really catching up with my own friends. And I rarely go on that friends tab and watch my friends' stories, which is just so odd. Like, I'm less interested in people I genuinely know what they're doing. And I'm more interested in people I don't know. I have never met and probably will never meet. It's very interesting. But today, again, my husband was working, my mom is having a nap, my brothers are out, and I could sit here and be bored, okay? And I feel like that boredom will push me to do something productive. But I never get to that point because any ounce of boredom I feel, I know I could just pick up my phone and I'll have like a plethora of entertainment that can keep me entertained for hours and hours and hours. And it starts to make me think like, what could I be making? What could I be thinking about if I just let myself be properly bored? Because I don't think I would just sit and stare at the ceiling. Possibly in the beginning. Possibly in the beginning I would sit on my bed and stare at the ceiling or like stare out the window. But that might inspire me to do something. That might unlock a memory, unlock a piece of inspiration in my head. But I'm like blocking myself from any of that because my brain is constantly occupied. Like, it doesn't feel the need to come up with these stories, to come up with these creative, I don't know, ideas. And that is kind of depressing. And it's something that I would really like to change. And I really have not considered taking social media breaks ever before in my life. I always hear of my friends and family saying, yeah, I lock my Instagram these hours so I don't go on it. I set times, like the time span I'm allowed to spend on it a day, and then it locks. Like, I hear all these people talk about all these little things that they do. Like my dad, even my dad had to figure out a way to spend less time on social media. And he has spent a considerable amount of his life without social media. And so I feel like the people that are like, oh, you know, we grew up on social media and we're used to it and that's why it's so hard to get rid of. Like, I don't think so, because I know so many people who didn't have social media at all, didn't even have internet, some people that I know, that are now like trying to wean themselves off of social media. It is that addictive. It's sad. I find it sad. I think the idea of like the lack of boredom is the saddest part, because now I'm just concerned about how I've possibly like stunted my brain. I've not allowed my brain to come up with its own ideas because I've just given it shit to do forever. But I think that if I was bored, again, maybe I would sit on my bed for a while, twiddling my thumbs. Maybe I'd be like, oh, I'm fucking bored for a bit. But our brains are so complex and will come up with so many interesting things that it won't let you sit there for that long being like blank-headed. I think about all the time I didn't have social media, and yes, definitely remember being bored. But in those moments, and I actually remember specifically doing this, in those moments when I was super bored, I would go into my mom's bedroom and I'd say, I'm fucking bored. And she'd be like, read a book or something. But like, even that gave me some like personal connection to another human being that I wouldn't have had if I had just been scrolling on TikTok. I would have gone into my mom's room and probably sparked up a conversation about something. Like, it's way more fulfilling than this thing. And I'm in London seeing my family, and I feel like I'm spending so much time on my phone, and it's sickening. It's making me sick. I also read this very, very sad thing on the internet today, which prompted me to make this video, actually, because I was just like, holy fuck, no. Wait, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Okay, okay, it was this. In our 20s, we only get 10 summers. In our 30s, the same. Only 10 summers and so on. That is terrifying to me. And it's summer right now, and I know how long I've spent on that little electric box, and I need it to go away. In this moment of my life, I feel like I regret quite a lot, which I don't think I should do. I think that the past doesn't define you, but it definitely made you who you are. So to regret past decisions is a waste of time, first of all, because there's absolutely no way you're going to be able to change anything. Like, time travel just doesn't exist, or we just don't know about it. There's just no way that if I sit and dwell on the past and say, I wish I did this, I wish I did this, like, there's no way I'm going to be able to change anything until I, like, go on that pilgrimage and meet that witch, which I'm planning on doing very, very soon. Regretting the past is just useless. All you can do is utilize it, learn from your mistakes, try and live better if possible, you know, like, that's all you can do. And you have to be grateful for having those years, no matter how you spent them. And you have to be grateful for the fact that you are able to regret, you know, and you are able to say, oh, I can see that I didn't do this the way I wished to do it, but I'm still alive and well now, and maybe I can do it now. And I think that that is something to switch it. Instead of saying, oh, I wasted all those years doing all of this stuff, I think a really interesting way to switch it is to say, like, I'm so lucky that I did all of that stuff because it wasn't for me, and now I know not to do it again. Anyway, I regret when I think about it, if I'm sitting in that sort of, like, sad, deep moment that I get into sometimes, I say I regret wasting time doing drugs and drinking too much. I wish I had spent those years being more productive. I wish I'd spent those years fulfilling my life, respecting myself, being kind to myself, finding passions, adventuring, learning, educating myself. I wish I had done all those things instead of going out and drinking, being hungover every day, wasting my time, wasting my breath on people that, like, do not care about me whatsoever. All of that. And I got sober. And now I really try and not do those things. You know, even in a sober lifestyle, you can still do those things. You can still waste your time on people who don't care about you. You can ignore your passions. You can not educate yourself. You can definitely do all of those things, even without the alcohol and the drugs. And I am on a mission to make up for that time, you know? Again, use those mistakes and say, I don't want to do that again. With the social media, however, I feel like somehow I've been tricked into thinking that it's not as bad, but it's still taking up all my brain space. It's still, in a way, wasting my time. It is not allowing me to venture into the things that I really, really want to do, like learning how to cook, learning a different language, spending time with my loved ones, getting to know myself, all of that stuff. And spending all this time on social media has started to make me think, like, I may regret my past a bit, though I shouldn't, but I do. But the problem is that I'm not learning from my mistakes because I have just almost replaced the substances and everything I put into my body with a new drug called social media, which alters my brain chemistry immediately, just like a drug. I'll be so happy. I will feel elated. Something good will happen. Or I'll just have one of those moments of euphoria. I don't know if you ever walk down the street and suddenly you just, like, have this moment of happiness. It's rare, but when it happens, it's lovely. And I'll live through that. And then, you know, my hands will do what they're used to doing, and they'll see my phone, they'll pick up my phone. And the minute the minute I start scrolling on TikTok, my brain, the energy, the happiness is drained out of it. And it is the craziest mental transformation. And then when I managed to get off of it, I would genuinely feel a come down from that, because TikTok is exciting. There's a lot of colors. There's a lot of spaces. There's a lot of people. There's a lot going on, you know. There's tricks happening. There's pranks. There's jokes. There's sad stories. There's, you know, everything is heightened on the phone. And so when I get off of it and I'm just living my life, it's almost like coming down from MDMA or something, because I'm noticing that life isn't really like that. And it's great that it's not like that, because again, when I was doing drugs and alcohol, my life was like this and it was insane. And the highs were high in some weird, like artificial way, and the lows were fucking horrible. And this is not that different. In my opinion, when I get off social media, it doesn't feel that different. I feel a genuine dip in my mood, and it's horrible. And then I'm thinking, oh, I wish I was this person. I wish I was that person. Then the guilt starts coming in, and then the comparison starts coming in, and it's like a high, and then it's like a hangover, and it's bananas how similar it can be. I was speaking to a friend of mine yesterday, and she is an older friend. She is someone I call when I need some guidance, when I'm having a bad day, when I need to vent, when I am feeling irrational, when I feel hard done by. I will call her and she will say, hey babe, like, what the hell did you do though? And I'll have to reflect on my own actions that sort of added to whatever scenario I might be going through. And she is the best friend and the hardest friend, because she just tells it to me fucking straight. And I need that, because I can be delusional a lot, you know? I can be delusional a lot. And I can be delusional in thinking that I'm living my life properly, but I still feel like shit. And I call her about that a lot. I'm like, why do I feel like crap? What have I done? I had a great day. I did everything that I should have been doing. Like, what's happening? And I'm feeling a little sad about myself, pitiful, you know? I'm like, woe is me, woe is me. Why do I feel this way? Someone hates me in the sky. Some spiritual being is like, fuck you. And she'll be like, no, well, like, tell me your itinerary for the day. Like, what did you do? How did you start your day? And I'll say, well, I woke up, and then I went and got some coffee. And she'll be like, did you just get up and go get coffee? And I'll be like, no, I turned my alarm off, and then my phone was in my hand. So then I went on social media for like a second. And she's like, no, babe, no. Because what you're doing there is you are lifting your mood, or you're like elevating your, what do you get? Endorphins, way too much. What are you actually using when you're on your, hold on. Dopamine. Okay, dopamine, obviously. I'm sorry, I just can affect other neurochemicals related to social stress. And cortisol. Okay, dopamine and cortisol, yes. And oxytocin. Those three things, like, the minute you wake up, the minute you open those apps, you are basically using up all of those hormones before you even get out of bed. You've also started your day by comparing yourself to other people, because inevitably, when you go on social media, you will see other people and there will be something that you wish you had that they have. And a huge part of that is the fact that social media is always a highlight reel, okay? Even if you see people crying online and saying, oh, I had such a hard day, there is something still beautified by it. There's something still glorified by it. I can't put my finger on it, but it's not real. It's not real. And I think that just seeing someone cry but not genuinely understanding the emotions that they go through, which you probably would never understand, especially if you're just looking at them through a screen, like, there's something about that, in my opinion, that makes me feel desensitized to that emotion. And so I'm thinking like, oh, they are saying they're having the worst day of their life, but like, I'm not feeling that deep emotion from them. So like, maybe their worst day is nothing like my worst day, because I know how my worst day feels and it is fucking shit. Anyway, she was like, babe, like, step one, you've already fucked up. So she suggested that when I wake up, instead of going on my phone, she first said to try and meditate, which I have been trying to do for a long time, and I just can't really seem to get the hang of it. I know it's a practice thing for sure, but I just get so distracted. And I know that's like shit to say. It's like, babe, like, just meditate. You just gotta sit there and just let your mind flow as it wishes. And I think that, again, like with the whole boredom thing, I feel like my mind is not being able to like flow. Like, I feel like the bad thoughts are not being able to flow out and the good thoughts are not being able to flow in, because I'm sort of just compacting everything with all this like crazy information, and my brain is genuinely like not functioning how it actually should. But she suggested that I, instead of waking up and going on my phone, turn my alarm off, maybe put my phone on the other side of the room so I'm not like sitting in bed, so it doesn't seem easy for me to just like start scrolling and then hours go by. And she said to read. And this seems very, very obvious. And I was like, oh my God, okay, like, thank you, Einstein. Yeah, of course I should read in the morning instead. And I was like, I just don't think that that's the problem I'm going through. Honestly, I just don't feel like that's genuinely what I'm experiencing. Like, I just think that someone up in the clouds is like, Rita's gonna have a shit day, and it has nothing to do with me. And that's the whole pity party I put myself through, and that's why I call this woman, because I'm like, babe, like, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, but I really don't feel like I'm wrong. Like, I feel like I've been hard done by somehow. Like, I don't think this is my fault. And she's like, hate to break it to you, babe, but like, this is completely your fault. And I'm like, fuck. She said to read. So I just bought this book that I think Madeline Orgy read and spoke about. I think, yes. And it's Women Who Run with Wolves. And I had coincidentally bought this book like a week before I had that phone call with her. And she was like, babe, you should just read something. Read. Like, literally, words on a page will inspire you 1,000 times more than anything you'll ever see on your phone. And words that you see on a page will inspire new ideas. Whereas everything you see on your phone is already an idea. Trends, clothes, food videos, like, online, you are seeing other people's creativity and inspirations already fulfilled. But by just reading, there's a lot that you're missing, you know? It's just words. So your brain is forced to fill in the gaps. And so it's like turning the motor back on. Social media force feeds your brain all of the information it needs, the sound, the color, the storyline, everything. Sometimes when I'm watching social media, I can even like imagine what things taste like. A book is just so up for interpretation. Even if the story is so specific, so detail-oriented, your brain will have to work to come up with what it looks like, what the room smells like, what the author looks like. I was reading this book this morning And I was like, oh, I wonder what the author looks like. Just double check she didn't put a picture of herself in this book. No, she didn't. Maybe there's a reason she did that. Because usually there's a picture of the person on the back of the book. Sometimes. Maybe not all the time. Anyway. I was reading this book this morning. And I was about to go on my phone because I was curious to see what she looked like. And something stopped me because I was like, I actually don't want to know what she looks like because I'm imagining her telling me the story. And like, I have glimpses of her like sitting by a fire, wrapped up in like furs, in a hut, reading me these stories. And like, I'm sure she doesn't look like that, or at least she doesn't look like that all the time, but I don't really want to like break my brain's like dream of what this person looks like. So I was like, I actually just don't even want to know what she looks like in real life. I just like, I'll finish the book and then I'll see. But for now, my brain is enjoying having something to do. This book is excellent, and I will probably talk about it in a different episode because I mean, there's just so much to talk about, I can't really get into it. And I've only just started it. I only just finished the first chapter. She does a really, really long introduction. But if you are someone who feels out of touch with the power, with the femininity, I would absolutely read this book. It is great. But anyway, it's not about this book today. I went downstairs, had a cup of coffee, did not go on social media, and I started to read. And my brain feels like it is exploding with ideas. And I have been sitting at home all day, have not left the house, and I just feel like uplifted. And I only did this today. And yes, I went on social media after, which sucked. And immediately my mood went down. But I really tried to do it not first thing in the morning. And I think it's baby steps. When we're getting through addictions and we're trying to overcome addictions, I do think it's baby steps sometimes. Sometimes it's cold turkey. Sometimes you just got to stop that fucking thing immediately. Like, can't just wean off of it. You have to just stop. But I think with social media, weaning off is a way to go. Giving yourself boundaries. Because it's hard to live in a world and not be on social media at all. But the way I'm using right now is just like diabolical. I'm going out for dinner tonight, which I'm excited for. And I'm definitely with someone, or I'm going to dinner with someone who will give me this look if they see me checking my phone at the dinner table. And like, I was getting a little bit of anxiety about that because I was like, oh my God, like, I know that I am looking at my phone every 30 seconds. Like, I'll put it down and then I'll pick it right back up again. It's horrible. And I was like, I can't do that. And I don't want to be like itching at the table, you know, like an addict trying to get the hit. Like, I don't want to do that. So I'm really happy I started this today because I feel a little less, what is the word I'm trying to think of? Not drawn in, but I'm feeling a little less, I don't know. I'm feeling a little less obsessional about it. Let's just say that. I don't know what word I was trying to say just there. Which is good because my anxiety is now a little bit down because I'm like, okay, I think that I'll be okay to sit at dinner and not look at my phone. Fingers crossed. It's so bad. It's so bad. Just one last thing before I go. I have so much anxiety. I am someone who suffers from extreme anxiety and OCD. And I take a very high dose of medication to keep that at bay so I can just like live a fairly normal life and not be lying on the floor in pools of tears all the time. But something I was thinking about just on the subject of boredom, the subject of not letting your brain interpret things, not letting your brain be inspired, not letting your brain be creative, not letting your brain make up stories. I think that social media is a huge factor to my anxiety because it's sitting there idle. It's not being asked to create a space. It's not being asked to do any work. It is literally being fed everything. It's being fed every single sense it needs. It doesn't need to do anything. And the idle hands make playgrounds for the devil? What the fuck is that saying? Idle hands make a devil's playground. I think that's it. And I feel like that's the same with my brain. Like, an idle brain allows these negative thoughts to just come in because it's bored. It doesn't have anything to do. And I notice the minute I get up and go and do something, my anxiety is wildly decreased. Why I don't know that, and say, hey, don't go on social media as much and just don't do that, and then I don't do it, I don't know. But it's an addiction. It's an addictive product. And it was made to be so. They need us to use it. It wasn't made so that no one would use it. You know what I mean? Like, no one made it. No one spent billions of dollars creating it, or however much money it made. Oh, it took to make. No one spent that money and time and effort. Spent money on advertising, you know, making people aware. No one did that because they like didn't care if you used the product. Like, they want you to use the product. That's the point. But I am on my way to figuring out how I can make it work with much less. Because I don't want to waste my life. I don't want to waste my life. I don't want to waste my time. I want to hang out with the people I love. And I want to really enjoy that time. And I don't want to be always in the back of my mind having this thought being like, ooh, like, shall I check my notifications? I just want to not be thinking that all the time. And right now I'm thinking that all the time. Every second of the day. I'm like, maybe someone liked my post. I should check. Doesn't matter. It'll wait. It can wait. It can wait. But reading is something that I love, and I really just like let fall to the wayside. And I'm so happy that I'm pushing myself to do it again, because also it's so easy to be reading, you know, maybe there's a sentence that's sort of like tricking your brain, you're not like sort of able to get past that page for some reason, you keep skipping over words, you keep having to go back, it's, you know, it's a little bit more of a job for your brain to read. And it's very easy to be like, oh, it's just much better just to look at my phone, it's just much easier, like I'm just going to do that instead. And I've really tried to not let myself do that, and it's fucking hard. But it needs to happen. It needs to happen. Because I want to be happy. And if there's anything that I can do to make myself happier, then like, I'm gonna do that. And I feel like I've done every single thing else except for this huge monster. Because I just like didn't consider it that bad, and I don't know why, but it has to end anyway. This video also has to end. I could keep talking forever. I'm gonna go now because I actually genuinely have to get ready to go for dinner. I love you guys so much. Social media is mad. It's crazy. And like, YouTube is social media, and I'm sure you're watching this on YouTube, which is social media. Somehow YouTube, in my opinion, is so much different. I don't know why. Like, because with YouTube, I'm like dedicated to the people that I watch. Somehow YouTube feels different to me. And it's not like short form content where I'm just being like bombarded with like information. I don't know. Somehow I feel like YouTube is different to TikTok and Instagram? What do you think? I don't know. Do you have a thought on that? Could just be talking out my arse there, but somehow I feel like YouTube is like more wholesome than the other platforms. I don't know why. But anyway, I'm gonna go now. I love you guys so much. Thank you for sitting with me while I rant. Um, if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do. It's super helpful to me. And you can see anytime I post anything. And yeah, I love you. And let's try to do a social media detox together. TikTok. Let's just say TikTok. Because I feel like TikTok is the nemesis of my brain, like, having a life at the moment. Instagram, like, I can sort of take it or leave it. YouTube as well. I enjoy YouTube a lot, though. But TikTok is just like that sort of draining one more platform that I need to try and eliminate a little bit out of my life. All right. I love you guys. See you next time. Bye. Love you.